Okay.
What's up, everyone? Today, I've got a very special guest. Mercury, the one and only, is here today. And so, you are an astrologist?
Well, that's one of the things I do. Yeah. And by the way, Josh, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate being here. I think it's always great to be able to meet other people and to share ideas that I think can really make a difference. And after all, the whole point of being alive, it seems to me, and I'm not avoiding the astrology question. That's one of the things I do. I've lived long enough to know that life is an extraordinary experience. I'm convinced. I gave up my belief systems up a long time ago. For me, the word believe means, I wish it were so. I'm hoping it's true, but realistically, scientifically, there is no evidence or facts. It's a story that I'm going to believe. So religion is based on belief. So one of the basic problems that we have on this planet is religion. Religion is a form of politics that has disrupted the evolution of mankind, from my point of view. And yet it's also an important part of the darkness that we all have to deal with in life. My basic concept of, after living a really extraordinary experience for myself personally, I can't imagine anybody not living their life, not wanting to have the most extraordinary experience they've ever had. And all they have to do is do it. The only person, the only thing that controls you and nobody else is you.
Sure.
But my observation in this world, virtually 99.9% of the population on this planet gave that up a long time ago and still have not let go of the fact that they have been hypnotized, they have been conditioned, they have been hoodwinked, is a good word, to believe things that aren't true. And when you can convince people of things that aren't true that are true, then you can easily manipulate them with the information that you provide them. The whole point of waking up, you've heard the term. People use it like enlightenment. It's another crappy word. Oh, nobody.
Sure.
What's it mean, right? What's that word really mean? It's what I'm talking about. It means you let go of your predilections, your judgments. If you want to be in heaven, stop judging. If you want to read language truthfully, read language as it was written, not as you wish it to think it means this.
Right. Yeah.
I was trained as an actor. The best thing that ever happened to me, besides girls, and that's what got me into theater, by the way, I went to a military academy for 3 years from the 8th grade, 9th grade, and 10th grade. And that really, I think, really set me in motion to what I've become today. And having, at a young age, I think I was 14 when I went to military academy, and I wanted to go there. I wasn't sent there. Now, there were some kids sent there because they were bad dudes. Okay?
I was going to ask.
There were some, but most of us weren't. And it was something I wanted to do because I had just moved from Germany at the age of 13. I grew up in Germany for like 4 years. I lived in Texas, New Mexico. I was born in Japan. My father was in a counterintelligence lieutenant colonel in the military. I had an extraordinary life growing up. I lived, I think it was in 11 schools by the time I got out of high school.
Jeez.
And when you grow up that way, it does something to you.
Yeah.
Any child who grows up that way, I had what I would call a cultural education. Because you're in that many schools, I didn't read that much. I didn't do that much of this or that academically because I was always moving and I didn't really study and I was always on the go. And sometimes I'd be 3 or 4 months without school because we were moving from Germany to Puerto Rico and then my father had to go somewhere. I mean, I had a very complicated life. But the one thing that saved my life was the people that gave me my life. And that's my parents. And I would say today in this world, one of the basic problems we have is that parents, for the most part, do not know how to raise their children.
Yeah.
And if you really want to solve the world's problems, we have to create education for parents. There should be universities that if you're going to have a child and you're going to raise a child, you should probably maybe go to school to figure out the responsibilities that really are implied by that, or you have no business having a child. Now, I'm not saying that the culture needs to regulate that, but I'm talking philosophically. If you think about the woes of the world, the majority of the problems, whether it's Putin, any world leader stage on this planet that you want to talk about, they all had horrific childhoods. Every one of them. Rome, remember Rome? Oh, gee, democracy, a republic, and then all of a sudden they get these crazy autocrats and they burn the whole thing down. We're going through a historical moment right now in the world that is not new. It's history. History is repeating itself. Everybody on this planet right now, you, me, all of us, we were meant to be here. This isn't a fluke. This isn't like, oh, wow, this is unusual. Mm-hmm. This is history repeating itself.
You're supposed to be right here at this time, right at this spot. You're supposed to be.
Where does everything happen?
In the world?
Where does everything happen?
In your mind?
Where does everything happen?
I'm not sure I follow.
Now.
Oh, now. Okay. Okay. Where and when?
Now.
Yeah.
Now is all there is. Buddha said it best. And I remember I was listening to a Rinpoche, and he was giving a lecture on Buddhism. And he was going to quote the Buddha, but he said it in such a weird way that you could barely hear what he said. He purposely, he swallowed the words. He's like, I don't want to say this, because if you hear this, then I can't teach you anything else. It's like, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Right.
but I'm going to do it anyway. So it was a tape I was listening to, and I had to listen to it 20 times at least till I finally figured out what he was trying to say or what he said, but was really holding it back. And it changed my life. That's why I knew something, I had to know this. And that one phrase certainly changed my life. A lot of things changed my life, but that one really, I think, ignited me. I think it was 48, 49 when it really ignited me. Though I'd been preparing, I would say, most of my life for that moment. He said, what you are is what you have been. What you will be is what you do now. Now is all there is. Everything that ever happens to you doesn't happen yesterday. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It happens now. What's going to happen tomorrow is going to show up now. Remember, mankind hoodwinked people. Right? Let's get back to the beginning of this. If I have a religion, I have governments, I can control you mentally to believe things that aren't true, then I can control you. But all Buddhism, all Zen teachers, all great mystics, whether it's Christian mystics, Islamic mystics, Sufis, all the great mystics, Sadhguru today in India, one of the great ones on YouTube, they'll all tell you, you have to let go of what you think you know, so they can figure out what you decide is what's right for you. So to become enlightened, to become aware, to wake up, means you let go of your opinions, your judgments, your ignorance, and accept you don't know. And if you can start from that premise, then I think you have a chance of living a life that is synchronistic, it flows, it's divine, I would say. I mean, how can you separate God from God? Can you explain that to me?
It's true.
Either everything's God or nothing's God, right? Mm-hmm. I don't like the word God because it's been so destroyed. In the old days, you weren't even supposed to say it because it was considered too holy, too sacred to even mention, because it was kind of mocking God by even mentioning that it exists. Everybody understood that until some people figured out, hey, maybe we can control people by, let's have fun and come try this idea and see if we can. I mean, who knows how it happened, but somewhere along the line, some smart people decided that most of the people weren't very bright. And so to protect ourselves, we need to control that. And the masses were probably fairly ignorant. And I would say the intelligent people were fairly small in number. And if you really think about it, the only people that were intelligent were the people who used to read.
Yeah.
Gee, how many people read back in the 2,000 years ago?
It was very few. You were not really allowed to learn to read. You know, it was a hard thing. Being able to read meant that you could read the Bible, that you could prove these guys untrue. If they're lying to you, you would know if they're lying, you know?
How would you know?
Well, you'd read something and you would be like, but this is contradicts what you say.
Well, you just said very few people read.
Yeah, I know. That's why, right?
Because nobody read except the handful of people that controlled people.
Yeah.
All the cuneiforms, all the first written things, people like to speculate. That's what it's great to be human, because we are just imagination machines. We create stuff and think it's true, and that's part of our problem too. You know, there's nothing really exists. This is all an illusion. Mm-hmm. It's what I call dense illusion. It just takes a long time for it to dissolve.
Sure.
But it will be gone someday, and it won't have ever had been here. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of now.
Yeah, I mean, think back to I know that none of us were around, but tens of thousands of years ago in the societies
don't make that assumption. See, I don't know that. You just made a belief system,
that's
right?
True.
Is that a belief?
I believe.
Thank you.
That
which means it doesn't mean anything. Okay, go ahead.
But you know, those
just kidding,
the societies before the the people that built the Sphinx, those people that were tens of thousands of years old, you know, or maybe 12,000 years, right?
You mean years ago?
Yeah.
They weren't 2,000 years.
Well, now they are, but they're probably dust or oil or something.
Yeah. Or maybe they're sitting right here at this table.
Hey, I mean, I could believe it. But, you know, those people, they created societies that might as well right now have never existed. You know, I mean, because there's no proof of them. You know, we can't go to
What do you mean? No proof of what?
No proof that that they were there.
Who?
Societies for 10,000 years ago.
Well, the pyramids.
Those weren't that old, though.
Yeah, but there are things before the pyramids. Just because we don't have, there are records now. They're finding out archaeologically that we're going back further than we had recognized.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess what I mean is it's as if they had never existed. Some of them, you know, because you see that.
Again, who are we again talking about? People in general?
Yeah, people from 10,000 years ago,
okay,
right?
but when do cavemen begin?
Who knows?
Yeah, we can look it up. You ask AI. It'll tell you, right?
I mean, yeah.
Maybe a million years ago, whether we came out of the ocean or whatever, you can, and I'm not into biology necessarily, but any good biologist will give you some element that we came out of the ocean, more than likely as a kind of a half water and half air breather, and then we made that transition, whether it was from a tadpole or whatever it was. And reminds me of Frognostics, which is a friend of mine. I do a radio show, and he called up and I do astrology charts. And he was telling me about his religion, and he was talking about Frognostics. And he says the frogs really control everything. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, there's a giant female frog, and she gave birth to everything. And everything became everything, and then the frogs are here as guardians to protect everything. I says, yeah, but you're just making that all up. He says, well, isn't that what religions do?
Frog Gnostic? That's the first time I've heard about that.
But aren't religions just made up?
I mean,
there's no proof.
There would be
Is there science
people that
to prove
would argue.
Is there any science or facts to prove it?
I imagine somewhere, but
really,
I don't know.
Wouldn't we know that if it was a factual truth? Come on.
Well, they say that, and I've been talking to this guy.
Who are we talking about?
So who are we talking about? Historians, maybe some historians. It's some historians believe that the Noah's Ark landed in Mount Ararat.
You said believe again. Remember,
They believe, right? So I
proof?
actually, well, that's what I'm getting to. Is I actually spoke to somebody who did a LiDAR drone scan of Mount Ararat, so ground penetrating radar. There is a structure down there.
I've seen that.
He has now he has permission from the Turkish government to dig there. He's the first guy that's got the permission, right? So we'll see what's down there.
Let me give you an idea. Oh, we'll find old boats, definitely. But was it Noah's Ark? Nobody knows. And unless his name is on there, we don't know. Even if they find an ark, people had boats, by the way, in those days.
Sure.
It's not uncommon to find an old boat, right?
Yeah.
Buried in something. So that's the whole problem with belief. They want to believe something that's not true to make them feel better. I'm just telling you what language does. As an actor, and I'm getting back to that, as a trained actor, I have a master's degree in theater, that you study history and you realize language is what it's all about. As an actor, my job is to convey what the playwright wanted to intend for the public to understand about life. I would say that theater, these were the first priests, originally, the storytellers. That's what actors are. They're storytellers. And so the first kind of what we call philosophers, quasi-spiritualists, I would say, were actors, storytellers, telling the story of how to be a better person. They were always telling a story about how to be good, how to do good things for people. That was the original stories initially, because they understood if you were going to be a parent and you loved your children, you wanted to make them live in a wonderful world. And so you try to bring them language that would help them, educate them about what is right and what is good behavior and not acceptable behavior. So this gets back to the children and our parents. That's our basic problem in the world today. Russia, China. And by the way, as an astrologer, I wrote astrological predictions for the Age of Light. And I was hired by a Japanese publisher to do this. And there's a lot of things that are completely wrong that I predicted, and there's some that are correct, which is typical because to predict the future is a really strange profession. But you don't predict the future. You're looking at the present moment and how it's going to unfold. And that's what also astrology taught me. I've been teaching yoga for 23 years now. I've been teaching Bikram yoga, the hot yoga.
Yeah.
It's 108 to 110 degrees. In fact, I teach 2 classes on Sunday, 6 a.m. and 9, and I do a class at 6:30 on Sunday. So I get my 3 classes that I teach out of the way, and then if I have time, I'll do classes myself. I've been doing that for 23 years. And it's probably the most important thing besides astrology and my parents. Those are the 5 things, and the 5th thing is me, that made my life what it is. I can say astrology, yoga, my parents were really the best teachers of how to become a human being, because they made me realize you have to create your own reality. We have 9 billion people out there. 9 billion.
Is there 9 now?
Yes. 9 billion people. And most of them are suffering. And it's historically a fact that there's like Jeff Bezos and these guys, the wealthiest guys, like 5 or 6 of them owns something like 70-80% of the wealth in America alone, just in America, okay? So when you really look at the number of people in the world that control the money, the power that runs the world, it's a handful of people. And that's the reality. But we never really think about them. Why? Because we're still squabbling down here like peasants.
We're trying to pay bills.
Because we don't have time to go after the real problem, the root of the problem, which is the system itself. Because why? There's too many hoodwinked people. Too many people who believe things that aren't true. And when you get politics and religion together, it's like horrific atomic bomb of explosion and disaster.
It's a theocracy.
It's horrific, if anything. And it's horrifying as well. And that's unfortunately what we're going through right now in the United States. When I was 18 years old, I asked my father, Lieutenant Colonel, counterintelligence, Pop, come on, nobody's going to destroy us. We're the strongest military. We got all this money. How could we ever be overcome? My father was a 32nd degree Mason, very educated man. He didn't talk very much unless you asked him a question. And he looked at me and he said, well, if we're going to be destroyed or taken over, it'll happen from within.
Right.
And so what is happening right now with our current government talking about the enemy within, they are that enemy right now. And they're trying to make you think that there's this boogeyman out there, which is not true. They are the boogeyman, and it's obvious, it's evident. But if you're not well educated and you believe in things, then you accept what you've been conditioned to think, rather than to think for the truth that's right before your very eyes.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it feels like we've been on this for a long time, on this trajectory for a long time. And I don't know really where it goes, but hope it doesn't go down the toilet.
As an astrologer in 1776, we did the chart and it's in my book, the Sibylle chart. When we signed the Declaration of Independence, Pluto in the sky was at 1 degree Aquarius. Where is Pluto today? 1 degree Aquarius. It took 249 years, 50 years for Pluto to make a complete circle in astrology to originate back to the day. Because in astrology, if we want to look at the birth of something, we give me your birthday and I'll create a chart. And that chart tells me what is the nature of this country. So what happened when Uranus went into Gemini for the first time after we signed that? Uranus went into Gemini.
So can you explain just what that means exactly?
I'm going to right now. That means that right now we also have not only Pluto in Aquarius, but Uranus in Gemini. We are now entering what I used to call a year ago, what I called a cultural civil war. I'm hoping that we do not get back to a civil war, because back in 1861, that's when Uranus was at 1 degree Gemini. Pluto was at 1 degree Aquarius. That's exactly what's happening right now, when we started this country. We're kind of going through a rebirthing. We're going through a convulsion. We're going through a civil war of sorts. And fortunately, hopefully, the law will prevail, because without the law and by the way, the law is supposed to represent God for us, see? The law is the final arbiter. You don't argue with God. You don't argue with the government. That's what the Constitution was for. That's why they took religion out of it, because they realized religions, you can con anybody into believing anything. But if you look at the facts, you have to deal with the facts, and that's called science. So if we could start running our government like we look at science, let's do things that work, like helping people have health care. Do you know we're one of the only, virtually almost the only country that doesn't provide free health care for people? And we spend trillions of dollars a year on weaponry, killing people. Now, tell me something. I was in Canada when I went to school in Canada. I had a physical problem. I went to the hospital. They took care of it, never sent me a bill. And I was a foreigner, and they paid for it. That's the kind of humanity I think we deserve in this country, to respect humanity. If you really want to follow religion, then love your neighbor. Help your neighbor. They can't afford it. We take care of it. Why? There's plenty of money in this country. It's where are you spending it? That is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, you can't count the pharmaceutical companies out of it, though, because I think they probably have a hand in keeping it as it is, status quo.
That's a small player compared to what's going on out there. I mean, really look, again, we're being diverted all the time. Look here, look over here, try this, it's the pharmacy. Oh, let's put Robert Kennedy out here. He's a nutcase. We can distract you with looking at that idiot. That's what's going on here. People are there's a shell game going on here with information. And people are look, the internet, the first time, I grew up when, if you didn't pick up the phone, you didn't know who called. You didn't walk around with a phone in your pocket.
I grew up at the same time.
Well, did you have, really?
Mm-hmm.
You're a young guy. What, you're in your 40s, 44, 45?
Oh, gosh. No, I'm in my 30s.
Oh, come on. Are you?
39.
Oh, that's right, 39. All right. Well, still, come on. Trust me. Look, I remember the first moment I remember in Catholic school. My mother, because she was a Catholic, sent me to Catholic school. And I didn't want to go. I said, what the hell is all this? Come on. And I said, all right. So I would go, I have to get up so early, go to Catholic school, and we'd have to go to Mass first, and then you go to school. In the first grade, I think it was like 2 months in, I'm in catechism, and I remember the moment, I'll never forget it. I raised my hand, and I asked the nun, I said, are there rabbits and horses in heaven? And she said, no, that's ridiculous. No, of course not. I sat down. I went home that day. I said, Mom, I'm not going back to school there anymore. She said, why? I said, well, horses and rabbits aren't allowed in heaven. So I don't want to be a part of that religion anymore, and I'm done. And my parents looked at me, and this is why I love my parents so much. The next week, they put me in another school.
Yeah, I mean, my parents never forced religion on me, so it was never like a...
Well, they didn't force me. My mother, she'd
know?
feed me with cheeseburgers or something to make me go. It wasn't forcing. She led a horse to water, so to speak.
Oh. So are you a big horse and rabbit fan then?
Well, of course. Who couldn't you love horses or rabbits? Come on, what's the matter with you?
I mean, I don't know. I like probably lizards.
Did you ever
more.
ride a horse?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. How could you not love a horse? They're the most intelligent in their own way, much more intelligent in a different way than us.
Sure.
They're just beautiful, beautiful, wonderful creatures.
My daughter really loves horses, and so we got her into riding, and so she loved it.
That's great. That's great.
But yeah, it's an expensive sport, but it does help her like not only ride a horse, but it's taking care of the horse. You know, doing the hoof things with the little scraper. You know, brushing it, feeding it, talking to it, rubbing its nose, you know, all that stuff. It's not just riding it, you know. And so it's kind of like
being married.
I don't get my nose rubbed.
Then something's wrong.
I hope she's watching. But yeah, I mean, I could see that. My we drive by every day when I take the kids to school. I have 2 little girls. There's this vacant lot, and there's always a bunch of jackrabbits, you know, doing all kinds of stuff around. And they're like, look at those. I'm like, yeah, there's no way that we would have that as a pet. There's no way that thing would be gone. You know,
there are pet stores, but I mean, we don't get into that. But by the way, let me ask you a question. What is your belief system?
Like my belief? I mean, I believe in God. I believe
in what way? Do you go to school? Do you go to church?
No. I don't believe that you really have to have a relationship with church to have a relationship with your spirit and spirituality and God, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, my grandpa a while ago, and maybe this is why, but he always told me that you don't have to go and you don't have to listen to somebody speak to believe what you want. Don't try to force anybody else to believe, but don't let yourself be forced on either, kind of thing. You know? And you know, with my kids, I don't force anything. If they want to believe whatever they want to believe, my wife doesn't believe. So there's, you know, room for everyone.
No, I think you can believe whatever you want, and I think people have the right to do that, and they will, and no one's going to stop anybody from doing what they want. And that's my point. Mm-hmm. That if you really want to investigate what life is about, you have to really kind of re-examine maybe what your belief systems and ask yourself, are they really relevant? And if so, in what way? And how do they really assist you in accomplishing what it is you're trying to do without harming anybody? I mean, mm-hmm. Ultimately, I think it's safe to say to be a good person, you don't want to be going around harming anybody.
Yeah.
You want to live in harmony with people. I interviewed Chief Blackhorse of Ancestral Voice on a regular basis. I've been doing radio for over 20 years. Off and on various radio stations. And Chief Blackhorse of Lakota tribe, he's the spokesperson for them. He's not even a Native American, but he's their spokesperson because he did all the training that was necessary because he was adopted as a young boy and trained to do this. And he embraces it.
He was adopted by the Lakota?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so he was raised for this purpose in life. In other words, Native Americans, when you were born into their tribe, you basically were given a purpose in life. You were raised to do certain things to help contribute to the village, to the TP. And there's a saying I heard years ago intuitively, then basically it's listen to your own heart. And even though I turned the sound off, it
Sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Absolutely. But the TP of your heart is where you live the most. And I think that's the most important thing, is to find out who you are and your relationship to what you've said and what I've said, God, which is everything. You can't separate yourself. So if you can at least acknowledge that this is a divine existence, then treat it as such.
That's a good point. Yeah, not a lot of people treat it as the experience that it is. That's true.
We try to impose our ignorance on divinity rather than listen to what divinity is teaching us, which is to take care of each other and to support each other and to love each other. There's a great quote. I think I have it to memory. Mark Twain said that the forgiveness is the fragrance of the violet that the boot has crushed. It's a really beautiful concept, that forgiveness is the fragrance of the violet that the boot has just crushed.
Oh, wow.
Something to that effect. That forgiveness, to me, has really changed my life. Words can change your life if you know what they mean. The science of language, if you will. For me, I looked it up and with some friends, and we came to the idea. In fact, Baba Ram Dass, who wrote Be Here Now, one of my yoga teachers, actually, we used to have this conversation. He was the one that told me about this, that forgiveness is to start over as if the infraction never happened, which is to be present, to be now, because nothing happens in the now, right? So if you hold on to something, you're holding on to the past, which does not exist, by the way. And so you're disturbing your present by holding on to something that no longer exists.
Yeah, that is true. That's powerful. I mean, because if you think about it, you are in the now. Everything that happened. It might as well have been almost to a different person, because you're not that person anymore. You know, forgiveness is a little bit freeing. And
A little bit freeing?
Depends on what you're forgiving.
Okay. Well, I'm not married, so I'll stay quiet.
But I mean, it's true. Like what you said, I mean, it really makes you, it puts a lot into perspective. You know, what can you control? You can control the now only, you know, and that now is now gone. I'm controlling this now, you know, and it's just, it's a constant fleeting moment.
That's why mystics call it life as an illusion. And it's what I call a dense illusion. It just seems to linger, and so it makes it feel real. But that's what makes it worth living, because if we thought it was not important or not significant or not real, we probably would just create mayhem like some people on this planet are doing to other people. My kind of thesis is that people like Putin and people of this country and the world who are disturbing and creating violence towards people purposely, trying to create violence, these are people that are very unhappy. They are very ungodlike. They have no correlation to divinity whatsoever. And I think you can call them dark energy, dark matter. If we look at the universe is really our God. And we have dark energy, dark matter. And then there's light. My thesis, the book, my editor says I'll never write it, but I'm going to write it. It's 1 and 1 is 3. And what that means is my intuition came up with the idea that there's light and dark. And light will never compromise itself. It's 100% light. Dark will never compromise itself. It's 100% dark. So how do they coexist? There was a mutual understanding instantaneously that the third thing is the present moment. The present moment represents the balancing of the integrity of light and dark so they do not compromise themselves and yet coexist. And the third party, which is the present moment, is where they coexist. And we are that representation of light and dark in human form, in the form of theater.
That's kind of kind of makes sense because the light and the dark are more of an abstract, and then the now is a mixture of it all, right?
But we do have dark matter and we do have light in the universe. That's what seems, everything is comprised of dark and light. Those are the two components that creates the present moment. And consciousness, and that's the big word people have been figuring out still. What is consciousness? Consciousness is the universe. I don't have a problem with that. It's just consciousness is the universe, and this is how consciousness plays itself out in infinite forms of existence.
I can't remember where I read this, but I read, and it was recent, like within the last couple of days. I read that life is reality experiencing itself.
I've heard it said better ways, but yeah, I know what you mean.
I know I could be butchering it, but
No, it's okay. It's a Zen concept.
Yeah.
For example, the Zen way of saying the same thing would be this. It snows. It rains. The wind. Sound of trees falling. We're in the state of becoming. Every moment is a state of becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone before it becomes.
Yep, like the Christmas season, it's coming.
But you're going to pay for it.
Well, then I got my daughter's birthday the next month over, so it's kind of like.
Now, see how reality sneaks in all of a sudden?
But that's the future, so that's not the
No. That's the present revealing itself in the present, but you calling it the future. Because we've been hoodwinked with language. We use it without really using. We don't think of how we speak often. We just, like diarrhea, we just got to get it out.
Yeah.
And we understand because we speak in platitudes, meaning that we speak with the language that we're saying culturally. You know what I mean, culturally speaking, when I say this. You know what it's like to go to the store? Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's a cultural way of, it's always a pain in the ass. You got to wait in line, all these stupid people and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what we do culturally with language in a sense. But when you really stop using language that way, in other words, excuse me for saying, but just shut the F up is the best way to exist. That's what meditation taught me. Mm-hmm. Yoga, 23 years of yoga, sweating, hour and a half, in intense heat. You can't help but become very quiet and still. And that is the greatest wisdom anybody can listen to if they have the opportunity to earn that position. And it's there, but you also have to be able to let go of your opinions and your judgments and your belief systems to appreciate maybe who you are.
Do you ever, after your Bikram yoga, do you ever do like a cold plunge afterwards?
I lived in Iran for a year. Back when the Shah was in power. And I used to go in saunas and plunge into cold water. I didn't like it at all because the first time I did it, I fainted coming out of the water. It was just too drastic for me. I remember as a child, when we lived in Puerto Rico as a child, my father, I would never go in the water because I felt it was a little too cold for me. So one day my father picked me up and just threw me in the water, and I was crying, not because it's just the coldness of the water. I just don't like cold water. I mean, it's just my body to this day. I just, cold. I mean, before I came here, I took a really, really hot bath because I like hot baths, you know? And so Bikram yoga really appeals to me. When you live in Texas where it can be 105, 110, and then Amarillo, Texas, it's Roswell, New Mexico, 120 degrees in the summer. And so I lived in places like that. So it's not like I liked it, but I know heat is something that's more inclined. So that's why the Bikram series became a great thing for me personally. And one of my great teachers, Bill Macaulay, and Sandy actually was my first teacher, and then Bill was introduced to me. And they taught me Bikram yoga here in Sacramento. They were the first people to bring yoga actually to Sacramento. The first yoga studio. And I still teach in that same studio today.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The OG yoga studio, Bikram yoga.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's wonderful. You should try it sometimes. You'd be astonished how it really just calms you down.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. My wife does yoga. She does like just shape yoga, and sometimes she does the yoga in the park. But
That's great. Oh yeah. No.
she's noticed quite a bit, and just the way that you feel. And, like for me, I go to the gym sometimes. Like I do. I try to go
That's
like
great,
two or three times a week. Right.
Great. That's great.
And just after you're done, you feel like things that were bugging you matter less. You're driving home, and I'm not speeding. I'm not trying to get in front of this guy. I'm not, I'm just flowing home.
Calm.
Yeah. And there's a lot to be said with that. I try to convince a lot of my friends to go to the gym too, and at least to be active, right? Because I used to work in like a bunch of stadiums, right? For 49ers, the A's, and you're there for so long, a lot of times that you just eat whatever's there, right?
Right.
I mean, you could get a free whatever that they serve there, but it's all usually shit food, and it's like you're getting these, like I'm eating a waffle sandwich, that has a sausage in there, and it's like, that's not healthy.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
it certainly tastes good.
It sure does. You bet it does. But they're like, and I've had people that are not that old that pass away from heart issues at their 30s and 40s, and they've been in there, and it's just like, at what point do you say you got to just try to be healthier? And the way that you feel afterwards is just the first time you go to yoga or go to the gym. That's the hardest part. Going that first time.
Yes.
But then once you get into, even if you don't get into a rhythm, but once you go like a different time, another time, it gets easier and easier. And then pretty soon you develop a system and you just start generally feeling better and you're healthier.
Absolutely. And you make better choices. I found after just a few days of doing yoga, when I'd go to the store, I found myself picking fruit and lettuce and things I never used to buy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm eating healthy food all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, I used to shy away from the outside of the store. Just go down the cereal aisle
Yeah.
and the frozen food stuff. But yeah, I mean, then there's, you can even, I mean, putting all the stuff in our food aside, all the hormones and the pesticides or whatever aside, I just started like recently learning how to cook. And so learning how to like make food for myself from groceries, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a certain sense of like accomplishment, pride, and a little bit of now you know what you're putting into your body.
We produced a cooking show back on PBS in the 80s. I used to work with Regina Campbell, who is a reporter for Gaia Television, and she and I used to do a lot of things together. We went to Europe for a month and did a lot of interviews. And she wrote a cooking book, a vegetarian cooking book, and I suggested to her that we turn this into a TV show. And we had some friends who I'd gone to Sac State with at some time ago, and they were working for PBS. And so we contacted them, and one thing led to another. We did a pilot. They loved it so much, and they turned that into the first vegetarian cooking show ever in the United States on PBS, and it was called Regina's Vegetarian Kitchen. And I helped create that show with her. And to this day, food has always been a part of my life. My mother was actually a great chef. She was Puerto Rican, and we grew up traveling around the world, so she learned all these great recipes, and she was a magnificent person in terms of the way she treated me. Certainly, she was an amazing person. But she just was a darling. She would help people. She did a lot of volunteer work. Both my parents, I think, gets back to parents. The responsibility of having two child that you're raising. And you're raising women, too, by the way. Not just children, not girls, but you're raising women to be.
Mm-hmm.
That is probably the most sacred, most important activity you'll ever do in your life, period.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Tried to get more, but my wife says no. So,
Well, maybe let's switch roles and see how you feel.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Can you imagine something coming out between your legs? I don't think so.
Well, it didn't come out there.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Where's it come from?
They just made a little cut.
Oh. Okay, well.
I told him, put a zipper in.
Then become the first pregnant guy. I think it's been done before. And you can have a child put inside there if you want to raise a child.
But I've seen it. Arnold did it. Remember Mr. Mom?
Okay, now you're talking belief systems again.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's absolutely the most important thing. And you don't like, do you have kids?
No. I can barely raise myself.
I mean, it's just before I had kids to after, I am completely a different person. You know, like
You have to be.
you're living for other people. You know what I mean? And
You learn what love really is about.
and you learn like that's your connection to what you're bringing to the future. You know, that's your contribution to the next part of the world, like to keep the world going, to keep, you know, anything going, the house, the country, the state, to keep things going.
Keep love alive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you seem to really enjoy your life. You seem to really like what you do.
Yeah.
I think that's really important for everybody to recognize. If you find out what you do best that serves other people, that helps other people, and by the way, I looked at your chart, and because of you have some Virgo influence, you also have, I think it was Mars, one of the planets in Taurus. You're not stubborn. You like to make sure things are done properly. And so people might accuse you of being stubborn, but no, you're not stubborn. You're not going to do something unless it's going to be done correctly. And so you're not going to do something. You're not going to you can't force me to do anything. That's your nature because you want things done properly and you want to make sure it serves other people. I mean, I looked at your chart. You have a really interesting chart and information is very important. But I think you're on a spiritual journey that these children are teaching you.
I believe it.
About what love and divinity really is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's almost like you talk about a little bit predicting the future, right? So there'll be a day when they don't ask me to snuggle with them after for bedtime, or when they don't hold my hand when they cross the street, you know? And knowing that time will come really puts into perspective the now.
Think of it this way. By letting go of that innocence that they represented, you're receiving another gift. So it's not that you're really losing that. You're now being educated into a new way of seeing these adults start to grow up and to become like you. And one of the things I've learned about life, and now that I'm in my later life, that you become like your parents. It's part of nature's way of reminding you who you are and where you came from. And fortunately for me, my parents were amazing people. I can't say the same for myself. I was all over the place. I had a lot of mental hospital occurrences. I was bipolar. I've been hospitalized probably 10, 12 times. I kept waking up, but I didn't know how to handle it. I recognized that this planet was insane, and it is. And I realized people are really not well. And I didn't know how to incorporate back into the world. That was my problem. That was a problem I had for many years. Finally, I realized that I had to just start learning what spirituality really means. And that's where people like Krishnamurti, Yogananda, Alan Watts, Joseph Campbell, these are the four, and Wayne Dyer certainly, these are people that really helped to make a difference in my life. And Bill McCauley and Sandy, and I can go right down the list of people that have made a difference in my life. And that's what you learn, that life is about your relationships with people. And when you have healthy, happy, loving, kind relationships, divinity expresses itself without you even having to bother with it, because it's there. Mm-hmm. Everything is God or nothing's God. So we have to be, I think, more present with what is rather than being without.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. That's
one of the tenets of astrology is as above, so below, as within, so without. You are the equation of eternity.
Wow. The equation of eternity. So break that down a little bit, because obviously people aren't eternal. This world isn't eternal. This galaxy probably isn't even eternal. But what exactly does that mean?
It gets back to 1 and 1 is 3. There's light and dark in the present moment. And that's, to me, what it represents. That's what creation is. That's what God is. God is the present moment, and it's pervasive, and it's the only thing that ever has existed. It's the only thing that can exist. There's nothing else that can exist. And once we acknowledge who and where we are, then we can be in paradise. The joke is you die, and you go, do I get to go to heaven? And they say, yeah, you're going to go back until you get it right. Where do you think you were? This is heaven. And even Christ said it. You know, you don't have to be religious to understand an intelligent statement. Mm-hmm. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, if you do it, on earth as it is where in heaven. So if you act as if you're in heaven, guess what? Right now, you're in heaven. But you have to act accordingly. Then when you die, you don't go anywhere because there's nowhere to go. If everything's God and you're one with God, where do you go? Nowhere. There's nowhere to go. I feel like that guy.
Because you're there already.
Like that comedian. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, that's a fact. Because you're already there.
Where else is there to be? To be or not to be?
Yeah. I think that is the question, isn't it?
That is also the answer.
Touché. I want to get back to what that exactly means when you say that Pluto is in Gemini, or Pluto is, you said 1 degree Gemini?
Pluto is 1 degree Aquarius.
Aquarius. So what exactly, because obviously I know what Pluto is. I know what a Gemini is. I mean, I'm a Gemini, right? But what exactly does that mean to combine them? To say that it's 1 degree this way or that, or I have no idea what that means.
Genesis. It's a joke. I interviewed years ago Bob Hope.
Oh, nice.
And I asked Bob Hope, I said, sir, what astrological sign are you? He looks at me, Genesis. So you reminded me of that moment. And the point is, to answer your question, Pluto is what I call really, and I think some astrologers, and everybody doesn't always agree on these things, I think we're in what I call the age of light, which I really think is the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And with Pluto for the first time in the sign of Aquarius for this nation, we're at a new beginning. We're at a revolutionary time. Think about when we signed the Declaration of Independence. We already said early on in this program that everything's repeating. History is repeating itself. And that's what astrology is. It's showing us the cycles of humanity. And so with Gemini in Uranus being in Gemini, that's when the Civil War occurred. And we have Pluto at the revolutionary time. So right now, this country has never convulsed like this before in the history of my life or in the history of this country. We have never had an authoritarian like we have today. We've never had a Republican Party or any second party that abdicated its power. We've never had anything like the technology that it is today. This is an historical moment. And we are either going into World War III or not. History repeats itself. I guarantee you this, I could be wrong, we'll find out, but I did predict that China is going to have a revolution. They're going to have a civil revolution. And I think about this, if China, in 2027, I have to reread my book, it's been so long.
When they're planning on taking Taiwan?
Well, that'll help trigger their civil war. I think that first of all, the prices in America and all over the world have been escalating because of inflation, because of COVID, et cetera.
Yeah.
And because history does repeat itself, I suspect that when China invades Taiwan, and they will,
yeah,
and more than likely sooner than later, because I think with this president, he is not going to go to war over that because his attitude is, well, it used to be a part of China, so it belongs to them anyway. And that's why he's not going to protect Taiwan. I guarantee that. I know he's not going to. And so when that happens, eventually, I think even as soon as 2027, China could have a civil war because of that, because their connections are so close and so many families in both parts of that world that I think, and astrologically, Pluto is going to be on their moon. And because Pluto moves so slowly, Pluto represents revolution, and it's on their moon in the 12th house of hidden things. And if you remember at Tiananmen Square, they had a revolution. I mean, China has a history of violence, tremendous violence. And so it's more than likely their history is going to repeat itself as well. And if that happens, there will be a depression because most of the things that are made in the world are coming out of China. And if they have a civil war, all of a sudden manufacturing ceases and the world's going to go into depression. All prices will have to drop. And that's how economics evolve because we can't keep raising prices. Eventually, people are going to have lower prices. We can't exist.
We're not going to be paying $1,000 for a cheeseburger.
No.
Well,
unless it's inflation, and then you're dealing with other problems. But the point is, this friend of mine who's a great economist, he told me that to him, economy is like his astrology. You can, if you look at the graphs of how cultures and governments have spent money, how they spend money, how they balance or don't balance their budgets, you can see what the predictions are going to be to culture because it does regulate culture. So we're going into a very strange period right now with all these tariffs talks and supposedly, the Congress is the one technically that is supposed to make the laws for tariffs. But when you have an autocratic person just making whatever they want to do, regardless of the law, that confusion makes it even more challenging, more difficult, more complex. So I think we're in for a really difficult period right now, and it's not going to be pleasant. And I think I wrote until 2030, we're going through a revolution. We're going through a civil war of sorts. There's no question about that.
Well, I mean, just a couple of years, I guess. It's over in 2030.
Well, here it is. In 2025, just this year alone, I think it's already up to 325 mass shootings in America just this year to this point. But you don't hear about all of them because they're localized and they're so small because I think 4 or 3 or 5 people killed, that's considered a mass shooting.
Yeah.
But we've had 325 of those now in a short amount of time. And so that's horrible. I mean, that's unacceptable. But we're so distracted with the internet and the media and let's face it, the other thing that's the secret here is the algorithms of these social media. They are regulating the violence. They are creating the violence. They are perpetrating the violence, and they're acting, we don't have nothing to do. We're just trying to make money. But they're also creating the violence. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
A cultural fact.
Yeah, I mean, look at the world before. I mean, the world wasn't peaceful before the internet, but it wasn't like this.
Well, it's going to change, and we do evolve, and we do come back around to sanity, and I do, deep in my heart, I'm an optimist. I can't help it because God knows what's best. And this is how God shows its ignorance. It reminds people, look, you people are being ignorant because you're not being divine. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with taking care of each other. Treat your family and treat others the way you treat your family. Then all of a sudden, we don't have any problems. But if you treat your family horrifically, if you're beating up your children or you're doing stupid things to your family, those children are going to grow up to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's why there's so much violence in the world. People don't know how to raise children. They get so frustrated because if they're financially strapped, that violence goes on to the children. Because they're causing us. It costs so much money to raise children today, and they're such a. I mean, you hear that story from people who are just out of touch with reality, because there's no love in their heart. Why? Because they were raised that way.
Yeah, that is.
I lived in the South. I saw some strange stuff in the South: Georgia, Florida, New Mexico, not New Mexico, but certainly in Texas to some degree, but Florida certainly. This stuff is just passed on from generation to generation, hate to hate to hate. It's not just in the South, don't get me wrong, but I saw a lot of that there because I lived in those places at times. And I'm sure it happens all over the world. But, I grew up when they were sending the National Guard to stop children from going to school. They sent the National Guard, the president sent National Guard so that kids couldn't go. Not the president, I'm sorry, but the governor sent guardsmen there to prevent children from going to school because they were black. When I went to a military academy late at night, and this is like I'm 14, 15 years old, a lot of the kids there were from the South, I could hear them talk about what they would do on the weekends. And I heard these stories. They would talk about how they would get their guns, and shotguns or whatever, rifles, and get drunk and drive in what they called the N-word countryside where the black people lived and shoot their houses in the middle of the night for fun. No, they did that for recreation. They did that for fun back in the 60s, not that long ago. That's what was happening in America, and the law enforcement didn't do anything about it. That's the kind of country we were on a global, not a global, but that scale that was seen globally that was happening there. Fortunately, it's not quite that bad anymore. It's more like just ignorance, but it's still unacceptable. Blacks in this country are still not equally treated so. That's just a fact. Culturally speaking, legally, yes, but culturally, that's going to take some time. It's horrific. And now we're doing it to Latinos. They were here before we were. They're talking about sending back the immigrants. What the hell do you think Americans are? We're basically immigrants. The Native Americans, you stole their land. Who are you talking to? What are you talking about? This country really has a lot to answer to, quite honestly. And it's time for us to show the darkness that we're experiencing. We have to look at the darkness so we can then take care of the problem. And we can take care of the problem by educating people, helping people, giving them health care, doing the basic fundamentals for a healthy, safe life. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
Hey, nicer topic. We have sports in common. You know, I gave Grant Napier his first job.
Oh, really?
I years ago, I did Aggie football. Uh-huh. I proposed an idea. I said, look, I'm going to put you guys on public access television. Give me 30-something, it was like $36,000 or something, and I will produce a football game and shoot with like 3 or 4 cameras, and we'll put it on public access all over the state. I'll put it in Hawaii, public access, and blah, blah, blah. And they said, hey, that's a great idea. So they gave me the money, and I went to Mike Odino, who was the director at Channel 30 at that time, at Channel 31, and he said, oh, you got to hire this guy. We just hired him. He's new. His name is Grant Napier. He was a lacrosse, All-American lacrosse player. He's a really great guy. So I hired him, and that's how he got his first start. I gave him his first job, and from there he went on to do the Kings, of course, and then he got fired because of, he said, white lives matter. And now imagine that, lose your livelihood because you said white lives matter. Is that bizarre? Where's the justice in that? His First Amendment right was violated. Had he thought about it, he could have sued them easily and won. But I think he was tired of Sacramento and wanted to get the hell out of here. Mm. That's just between you and I. I think that was the case, but I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Man, what is he doing now?
Yeah, I think he's in Miami, and he does a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has his own podcast, been living down there for some time, yeah. In fact, I've been thinking about getting back in touch with him. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Man, I've never been to Florida. I can imagine that. I mean, because you always hear like Florida man and this and that, because those people have to deal with alligators.
Well, it's not. It's culturally kind of vapid too. There's not much going on culturally. I mean, it's
probably because alligators, though.
Yeah, please stop it. That's I'm just saying that culturally, it's a very peculiar place. It was when I was growing up. Haven't been there a long time, but I know there's a lot of money there now, and then they get lots of poverty at the same time. You know, look at America. I mean, the disproportion of our economy is out of whack, and there's no middle class anymore. They're gone. The middle class no longer exists. That was my parents were the last generation of what we call the middle class. Now it's just something else that we're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, people think middle class, and it's you get a regular job, you get a regular salary, you buy a regular house, and have a regular life. But now you have to have 2 jobs, and you have to have both parents working, and maybe you have to have one of them working 2 jobs, and just like farming the kids off to daycare or whatever, and it's it gets, I mean, like you said, like it's really expensive to raise a kid and everything, but,
look at it this way. Back in the 60s, corporations were basically taxed 70 to 80%. That's where their tax rate, okay? So all the profits they made, they gave back to the government. Therefore, the government was able to provide housing for the veterans after World War II, created low-cost housing and blah, 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 medical and all that. That's what you do with tax money that you get from corporations. You give it back to the people. So the money circulates back to the people. They give the money to the corporations. They make goods, they provide the services, then they take a portion of that, give it to the government, then the government builds weapons so that we can protect ourselves and then gives it back to the people. Ideally, that's the circle of energy that you want to apply. And so that works when you're taxing corporations 70 and 80%. But the last, I think it started with Nixon. Nixon was the first Republican president who just basically gave tax breaks to the wealthiest people. Every single Republican president has always given tax breaks to the rich. Every one of them. So now why we don't have a middle class? Because all that money that used to go from the corporations back to the people, they gave it back to the rich people. And so that's why you have a CEO of a company that makes $4 million a year doing what? Playing golf and having meetings. And they get $4 million while the guy working in the trenches 8 hours a day, breaking his back, building cars or whatever, moving things around, whatever they do, they're barely surviving financially. That is the problem with America today. It's really very simple. And people can make the difference. That's what democracy is about. We're a republic, but we pretend to be a democracy. And if the majority of people finally stand up to the government and say, look, this is unacceptable. We want free health care. Congress, we need free health care. Get it done. Congress could give it to us, but they're giving the money to the wealthiest. Does Musk really need another $103 billion to do what? To go up as Uranus? Come on.
Well, is it so? Speaking of Uranus,
you're sitting on it, bud.
So when you say it's in Gemini or something like that, is that just where it is in its orbit?
In terms of the solar system, you have planets orbiting around the sun, and they're all in various portions of the sky. Think about this. The solar system itself is traveling like a spaceship, and it's traveling around the star Sirius, which is in our galaxy. So our solar system is orbiting around a star called Sirius, and it takes around 26,000 years for our solar system to go around the star Sirius. So we just finished a Yuga, a major Indian age, the Yuga. We're going through one from the older age to a newer age right now. And that change is always disruptive. Anytime you have a major age ending and a new one beginning, so this is what I call the age of Aquarius. It's not a new statement. Everybody knows it.
I know the song.
Yeah, of course. But the fact of the matter is we're in a new era. And when a new era begins, you have to break down the old one. And the old one has to expose its deficiencies. And what we're finding is that the Constitution is a great document, but it has a lot of gaping holes that this person that's in the White House right now is testing on a regular basis. So he's showing us what the weaknesses are of our culture, which is the Declaration. Now, technically, the law should uphold that. But when you have people who are also involved and they go along with the autocracy, and the reason Hitler or any of these guys became famous is because, and destructive, is because they had people around them supporting them. And so we're at a kind of a marksman point right now. This is a breaking point that we're at, almost a breaking point, if you will. So we're going to find out who we are. Are we a democracy? Are we a republic? I've had my father, he was a 100% disabled veteran. My mother was a 100% disabled veteran. My uncle was in counterintelligence. My other uncle died in World War II. My grandfather was a sheriff. My family has given a lot of their lives to defend this country and the Constitution. And a lot of people have died, and the veterans of this country gave their life and their bodies for us. So it seems to me it's our duty, it's our job to maintain our democracy and our republic and to rectify the wrongs that are being perpetrated on America today.
Yeah, that's a fact. So 26,000 years, when does that 26,000 year mark hit?
Well, again, that's not something I'm too concerned about myself, but I just know that that is a fact. Where it is now, go back 26,000 years, that's where we were, right where we are. Pick any 26,000 point, that's where we were 26,000 years ago.
So
Does it really matter? Again, like a belief system, does it really matter?
so it's based off of Sirius.
The star Sirius.
Based off of where
Everything's always orbiting around something.
Is based off of our position related to Sirius. And that's where you get the Gemini.
Sirius is the point, and we're going around it.
Right.
Yeah. Stars tend to be stationary.
Right. Except for ours.
What's that?
Except for ours, I guess, if we're orbiting it.
Well, yeah, but there's bigger ones, like we're a baby sun versus a humongous sun. And yeah, maybe, who knows? I don't have the science of that, but maybe that star Sirius could be. But the universe is so vast, and this, by the point of contention here. I think in the 30s, there was a Dominican priest who was an astrophysicist. And he wrote a 2-page paper, something like that, about, he equated in the beginning, in the Bible, in the beginning there was the Word of God. Mm-hmm. So he equated that the universe was created with a big bang. So he interpreted the Bible and put it in astrophysics language and said that in the beginning was a big bang, and from that, out of that darkness, life began. Well, that Big Bang theory is just a theory. It's not true. But because it came from a religious person, it shows you how something can be said to be believed to be true. And now we're finding out with the Webb telescope, the universe could be infinite. And we have to rethink completely what we're doing because we have no clue of what's happening scientifically. I think we're just at a kindergarten level. Even the astrophysics that we're learning today could be just at a kindergarten level for what really is available in the universe.
I mean, we're not even technically a type 1 civilization yet.
We're a wavicle. You know the density of your body, our bodies. Scientists call us wavicles. We're so thin. We're so pathetically thin. But we have the illusion of density, right? Mm-hmm. That's the illusion. But we're comprised of what? Light. You have stardust in your body. Stardust. That's amazing to me. That's what consciousness is. It's light. Consciousness is light. It's stardust. That's what makes us so amazing as people. It's a miracle to be a person. It's the greatest gift is to be alive.
Yeah.
And most poor suckers are starving to death.
And it's what you do with that gift that makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And raising starlets like you are is a great opportunity, a great gift, and a great responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself.
You love sports, I can tell you. That's really your soul. You really enjoy it.
I actually...
No?
For until I started working in sports, I was always the guy that was like my mom made me play baseball when I was a kid, right? So I was the kid looking for frogs in the outfield, and like, Josh, look out for the ball. Put your glove up,
You had a frog named Josh?
Well, we were both. I named all the frogs Josh.
Wow.
I keep track of them easier that way.
So really, you had frogs as pets?
Oh yeah. Well, I had, of course, yeah. And actually,
oh yeah. No, you're the first person.
I have frogs now.
You're the only second person I know, and the other one's is a great friend of mine.
Oh, I have. So we have a pond out there, and we got it we planted little things in there. We put little fish in there and stuff, and the frogs came. We didn't buy frogs. I didn't put anything out for them, but they came. Right? There's 4 of them. There's Genghis. There is Attila, Rasputin, and Napoleon. They're all out there. Napoleon's the smallest one. Genghis is the biggest one. But yeah, I love those guys.
So if my friend, he's writing a book called Frognostics, The Philosophy of Frogs, you would buy it, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I know. I've told him, you got to write this book.
Well, and here's another thing about me and my relationship with frogs. So when I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, I had these 2 frogs. One was brown, one was green. And so we took him to the pet store, right, to get to see what do we feed him, because I had just caught these frogs. And so they're like, okay, we'll put some crickets in there. So they got a bunch of little crickets. There's probably 20 or 30 little crickets in there, cage about that size, right? And my dad's carrying it down the stairs to our front door. And my mom's like, don't carry that by the handle because it'll break. So we get in the house. He shuts the door, locks it. Immediately, the power goes out in the house. And as soon as the power goes out, that cage drops on the ground. And I'm right next to my dad's, right? So all of a sudden, I've got crickets all up my pant leg. And they're everywhere, right? And even years after that, I could hear crickets in the walls. And I would find like dead crickets in my toy boxes.
Wow.
And so right now, I mean, that's the kind of thing that would transform somebody into a superhero, like Cricket Man, but that never happened to me. Instead, I just have this, I can't stand crickets.
Cricket Man.
And so like when people say like, oh, it's a nice, calming feeling to hear crickets chirp. No, it's not. It's not at all. So that's the story though.
I think there's a book there somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Or maybe at least a comic book.
Yeah,
maybe a graphic novel.
Yeah. So what do you do nowadays? This is obviously a fun thing you do here on YouTube. What else do you like to do in life? What really makes you happy?
I mean, talking to people makes me happy. I build cars and I have people bring their cars over and
No kidding.
we talk that, Actually, my oldest daughter helped me paint it.
Wow.
So we did everything ourselves, rebuilt the motor.
You're teaching them to do that.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
That's fantastic.
And she'll funny thing because I'll pick her up at school in it, and so it's loud as hell,
Wow.
and it's everybody notices, right? Throw a little rev and she gets in there and she tells people, I helped my dad build that, right?
That's right.
And of course, there's always that one little kid that's like, well, I built a Ferrari,
Yeah, right.
and I didn't even use any tools, and I have a pet gorilla, and 4 mansions, It's like, and she's like, well, but he has 4 mansions. Like, he's lying. He's full of shit. Like, just know that he's probably jealous. Let it go. And so she did. And
Next time, ask your daughter to ask him: Is he religious?
well, I was gonna. Because his dad picks him up, right? And so I was like, well, when his dad picks him up, just be like, hey, have fun at your mansion. Dad's like, mansion? I hope next time you bring your solid gold Lamborghini.
That's great. That's great.
But yeah, it's
how old are your girls?
9 and 4.
Oh my God, perfect. 9 years
yeah.
old is a perfect age, by the way.
Yeah,
I think
and
that's so interesting age because they're just starting to maybe look a little bit differently at things, but not quite.
She asks a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Good,
it's early. Yeah.
The 4-year-old does not ask questions. She more demands things.
When's her birthday?
Her birthday?
Yeah.
Same as mine.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
30 years apart.
Boy, you're going to get some medicine thrown at you.
Yeah. Oh, no, we're 35 years apart.
I know, but still, you're going to see a little bit of you coming back to you.
I hope so. I was good to people. I hope that comes back.
Good.
It is coming back with the oldest, though, because she's probably, I would probably say she's way more like me than the little one.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain things that she asks questions and I'm like, I know what brought you to that question. I know exactly what you're thinking right now.
And when's her birthday?
Her birthday is, it's on the 23rd, February 23rd.
Ah, so she's a Pisces. So she's got a great intuition.
Yeah, she has really good intuition.
She really listens to herself. She listens to her heart. And
very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah. And
she has a great heart.
And she has planets in Aquarius. And because these planets kind of follow the sun, and she has some planets possibly in Pisces. So it'd be great when you send me your children's chart information. I'll send you these great reports. It's about food, colors, allergies, things that are associated. And it's also, I'll send you another report that says this is what they're like growing up at the age of 4, 9, 12, 16, based on their astrology. You'll love this report. Every parent I've ever given these reports to, they just, I can't believe how accurate this. My God, that's just what my child does. And it might give you some ideas of why they do the things they do. Because they were, again, we agreed, I think, that we're all born here to do something. We're not just here for another big salad. You know? We're here to actually accomplish something. Mm-hmm. And we're all born for a purpose in life. Your children, they chose you as their vehicle, and your wife as a vehicle for being alive. So you have something that they need to learn from you, or they wouldn't have come through you.
Yeah.
And so you're going to discover this. And I think that's the beauty of being a parent. You start to recognize you're learning through them as they're learning from you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a surprise,
It's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, it really is. But I want to thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
And we will have to do this again.
I appreciate that.
And let people know where they can.
Well, it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Astrological Predictions for the Age of Light. And I'm writing another book now where I'm combining astrology and yoga together. So you'll be able to create your own series of yoga postures based on the moment you were born. And that's a project I've been working on for some time.
Nice. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, guys.